to automate the targeting and placement of ads across hundreds of thousands of websites and apps globally. Welcome to the programme.
Thanks, Tanya.
So the first thing is, how do you target ads? What sort of things are you looking at, and does technology simply allow you to find people better and make it work for them better?
Well, I think the first point is there is a ton of data that's available on customers and potential customers of businesses. So our technology is able to look at, hundreds of thousands of different data points per second, and then make a decision on an advertiser's behalf on whether or not it's worth placing an ad for a particular product.
Some people might think that they are leaving that trace.
Yeah, I think so, and I think, part of what we're trying to do is to make advertising better for both consumers and for advertisers, so making advertising more efficient for advertisers through less wastage and efficient use of the data that's out there, but also making the advertising experience better for consumers, so more relevant and less annoying and intrusive.
We were hearing there how obviously the content has to change according to the medium. That's something that you'd be very familiar with. You don't develop content, but you'd be familiar with that.
That's right, and our systems have been designed to place the most appropriate ads for the most appropriate device, and to place them in the right context for the content that's being consumed at that moment. What
do you make of this move by YouTube to move away from 30-second ads?
I think it's a really interesting example of how advertising and the industry of advertising is having to change to be more relevant in 2017, and people are consuming content and media on many different devices and in different ways, and a 30-second ad just isn't relevant for the way that people are consuming media now, on mobile devices.
I'm often amazed that, if I buy something which is a big item, like a bath, that I keep seeing bars, and I'm thinking, well, how many bars do you think I need?
Well, that's a really good example of how not to do it properly, and so that's what we're trying, one of the ways in which our software works is to make sure that we don't show ads that are going to annoy you, or we're showing you a bath after you probably bought the bath.
Just bought a bath?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
I mean, I'm pleased that people think that I live in a house that would have that many baths, but,
Well, that's how not to do it, so.
And that is simply a question of the maths, is it? It's simply a question of computer programming?
Yeah, and algorithms can measure and optimise towards the optimal number of times to show an ad for a particular product. So,
But is there any way that we can not leave a trace?
Yeah, absolutely, there is. And there are. I think there's a growing kind of infrastructure to allow users to opt out of ad tracking. All of the browsers for internet access offer.
Because you would agree that you should be offered that choice.
Absolutely, and I think it needs to be made much easier. There's a central opt-out website called youronlinechoices.org, which we're part of, and people can opt out of any tracking that is done by our system.
Thank you very much indeed. And we'll come back in a moment to the subject of the papers with you, so please stay with us. Meanwhile, India has among the largest number of blind people in the world, more than 5 million according to government numbers. The country has few employment opportunities for them, but now a private firm is training blind people to work in perfume and fragrance companies using their sense of smell. Yogita Lamai reports now from Mumbai.
Ravi Baniar became blind at the age of 3 due to a smallpox infection. Like most visually impaired people in India, finding work has always been a struggle for him. 1 year ago, he got a job with a company that makes fragrances. His role? To ensure the aromas that go into the perfume are pure by smelling them.
I feel proud. I earn my own money, and because of that, my children are progressing. I'm living with dignity, and people respect me at my workplace.
Who can identify that note?
It's in a class like this one that Ravi was trained. The course was started 3 years ago by a private company, which found that people who can't see have a keener sense of smell than the general population.
In India, there are laws that mandate that a small percentage of government jobs should be reserved for people with disabilities. But they're often difficult to get, and there's not enough of them. That's why perhaps the solution lies with the private sector and new opportunities like this one that are being created.
Initially, Ravi's employer hired individuals like him for corporate charity. But the company now says it also makes good business sense.
Very soon we realized that, I mean, it went well beyond that, well beyond charity, because these people can really contribute, okay? They really have a superior sense of smell, and, which even from a business perspective is very valuable to us, because it's a rare commodity.
Somewhat spicy also.
Still, finding suitable jobs for all these students has been tough.
It's very challenging. It's been literally we have to go door to door and ask the industry to kind of employ them. They wonder how they've been getting to work, what kind of support they need to give, what the surroundings going to be like, how are they going to adjust to other people. So those are all the apprehensions.
Ravi has a long commute to work on public transport that's not very easy for him to use. But the promise of a salary at the end of each month is enough to make him go the distance. Yogita Lamai, BBC News, Mumbai.
And you can find more on our special coverage of this issue and how businesses are dealing with it at bbc.com/disability and on Twitter at #disabilityworks. Right, let's take a look at some of the stories in the media. Joining us again, Andy Cocker, who's co-founder of Infectious Media. Let's start with this newspaper here. And this is Snap, of course, formerly known as Snapchat, but of course they have an IPO looming at the beginning of March. But that is not what this article is about. It is about some glasses that were being sold, as I understand it, in vending machines, and now they're being more freely sold. What do these glasses do and why, Andy?
Well, they're quite nice. $129 is probably out of some people's price range, I think. It's interesting. I think the interesting piece about this story is that, I mean, Snapchat is a social media business that's about to IPO for an unbelievable market cap of between 16 to 18 million, I think, more or less. They've never been profitable. They say that they may never be profitable.
Actually.
Billion, sorry, absolutely. And they've positioned themselves in the IPO as a camera company, not a social media company.
Right, so what they're saying is you can use one of our pieces, a piece of hardware developed by us in order to develop content for our social media site. That's
Correct.
The link.
Yeah, so this is going to power the content that is distributed on there.
So you don't have to get your phone out.
So
okay.
Exactly.
I was surprised to learn that a company as young as Uber is having problems with sexual harassment.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's pretty sad to be reading a story like this in 2017. And I was really surprised that a story like this was coming out of Uber. So you'd have thought that a relatively young company and such a progressive company would be designing and building their equality, gender equality and ethnic diversity into their into their business from day one.
But interestingly also, of course, if you have staff who have problems, they can now blog and it's on the internet very quickly.
That's right. I mean, and there's some pretty big allegations in here, and I think some of the numbers are out. I think the woman in question here is saying that when she left, only 3% of her team of 150 people were women, which is quite staggering. They're unverified figures.
Right, let's take a look at what else is out there. We know that, of course, Donald Trump is very much in the news at the moment. This, though, is about jobs. And what it says, it's a very interesting piece and makes a very interesting point. It's in the New York Times. So the point is that more traditional industries, first of all, are automating more.
Yeah.
But also technology industries like yours, actually, despite, in some cases, very large market caps, they just don't employ a lot of people, and that's the problem.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I think this is a theme that we're going to read about more and more in the coming years. It's the displacement of traditional jobs by technology. I mean, this story is talking about the oil sector in the US and how thousands and thousands of traditional jobs are being displaced by software and hardware it's incumbent on, you know, government and
to
the
think about this,
think about this and to
whether
support
Donald
people
Trump's
through these
answers are
transitions.
the right ones is another question. Corporation tax. He's looking to cut the corporation tax levels in the US, which is really interesting. It's been tried before,
Yeah.
but it would be a mystery to many people as to why they are so high in the US of all places.
Well, I was really surprised. We opened an office in the US last year, and I was really shocked when I realised how high the tax rates were there. 15 to 35%.
Well, he's unveiling something very soon, so we'll have to find